So ever since the comments that were made by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, the director of the upcoming Rey Star Wars film featuring Daisy Ridley, this was really the source of what sparked outrage among the Star Wars fans, and basically people that have left the franchise. I don't even know if you can really call a lot of people Star Wars fans anymore, because so many people are just over and done with, based on what Disney has been chasing with this franchise, and altering everything related to George Lucas's vision of it all. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, Sharmeen Chinoy, alright, this is a director that is very extreme when it comes to her overall agenda pushing in Star Wars. I would say that she's very much up there with Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland, if not worse than the two combined. We know that she really wants to transform Star Wars, and what we have been going over the past number of days now after she was fired and removed from multiple Star Wars projects, 2 Star Wars films, and 2 Star Wars TV shows, this multi-million-dollar Star Wars deal that all fell apart, limiting her down to only the Rey movies specifically, and even that is already in shambles, as they downgraded her payout for that film after they increased Daisy Ridley's pay to above $10 million. Roughly, so to speak, around 12 is basically what's been going on, but what's interesting about all of this has a lot to do with the fact of what Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy had to really unleash against the fandom in the wake of her removal and firing from multiple Star Wars projects over at Lucasfilm, and after everything has been falling apart between different members of Lucasfilm, right? So with that being all put out there and said, with director Sharmeen Chinoy endlessly creating issues behind the scenes, one major development has to do with her stand against the fan backlash after her previous comments about the Rey film. Now, Sharmeen went on to deliver the following. As a woman, I think it's time that we bring new meaning to this franchise and what possibilities can be provided to detach ourselves from what George established in this franchise. I am more than proud to stand for what's right against those that are opposed to change and expanding to the modern times in Star Wars films and television. It's a tough challenge dealing with a small, loud minority that can be very toxic, especially to this fandom and to this community, and it's just something that I think needs to be ignored for our creators moving forwards to focus on their projects to stretch beyond expectations. I am such a fan of Leslie's work, she's talking about Leslie Headland by the way, for what she is doing with the first female ensemble cast with The Acolyte. It's about time that we focus more on female-led characters, something that has been long overdue, and though I have had my differences in the past of Lucasfilm's approach to Star Wars, I think Kathy is finally getting the job done to make things happen for all of us. Fandom culture is very toxic. That is just a fact, and I think it's time to reshape the norm for what the fandom really means, and to properly focus on a loyal fan base instead that supports all creators' visions, no matter where they come from or who they really are. It's a disturbing world that we live in when so many can be opposed to one's creative vision for wanting to provide equality in these films and programs in a galaxy far, far away. We are talking about a world full of thousands of different species. It's time the loud, opinionated side of the fandom accepts all of that and accepts change for the importance of the female demographic in these films. Kathy and I have had our differences in some areas over at Lucasfilm, but the one thing I do support for her is her push for empowering women in a galaxy far, far away, and something that has been so absent from all the previous films. The loud side of the fandom just needs to remain quiet by keeping their biased opinions to themselves to allow us to focus on our goals properly. Noise just gets in the way for everybody and blocks the entire process for all writers, directors, producers, and more, and it's an insult to the film industry. I have had the liberty to look over the script with Steven and know he's not done with it yet, and we are still trying to figure things out with the development of Rey's latest journey in the Star Wars world. But I really can't go much into detail of what's been going on with our challenges developing this much needed story. Now guys, let me just stop here for one moment. Now, the thing about Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy is that she's saying that there have been no female-led stories in the past, and that they were non-existent, is she forgetting about all 3 Star Wars films by Disney, episodes 7 through 9, that all focused on Rey and eventually turned her into Rey Skywalker? Is she not realizing that those are actually canon, and wrongfully so in my book? Well, it seems like that is nothing more than an agenda push. She wants to make it seem like that Star Wars has never had these female-driven stories to tell, and that they are non-existent, so that she can double down on how extreme she's going to go with this upcoming Rey movie. Now, as we discussed days ago, she was removed from James Mangold's movie as a co-writer and as a director as well, to kind of help out with that overall approach. And to top it all off, the upcoming Shawn Levy Star Wars film, which is reportedly going to also feature the return of Rey, so that makes a lot of sense. And basically, she was also attached to the Acolyte Season 2 to work with Leslie Headland, as well as a upcoming prequel series to the Rey Star Wars film that would focus on the next generation of Jedi. All of which she was removed from, and rightfully so in my book. Now, moving onwards. Now, separate from what Sharmeen delivered here, this all comes in the wake of her firing and removal from 4 Star Wars projects, 2 films and 2 shows, and her pay decrease from the upcoming Rey movie, along with Stephen Knight getting forced to engage in rewrites to erase any references to the characters like Luke, Anakin, Ben, and Leia, as requested by Kathleen Kennedy. Sharmeen is also fighting Disney in a desperate move to get her projects reinstated, both as a director and as a co-writer, that was planned to be a multi-million-dollar Star Wars deal as a filmmaker. This comes as a mixed result of Iger's cost-cutting measures, and arguments between Sharmeen and Disney about her pay after Daisy got a pay increase and not Sharmeen. So basically, and this is something that I brought up the other day, that was really the spark of the outrage that happened over at Lucasfilm, is that Daisy got a pay increase and Sharmeen did not. So that really was ultimately what led to both Sharmeen and Kathleen Kennedy getting this little bit of a grudge against each other. How Kathleen Kennedy did not stand up for Sharmeen as much as she thought she would, for keeping her attached to those 4 other Lucasfilm projects that Bob Iger and the rest high up at Disney decided to pull her out from. Now again, I'm not going to be too shocked if this Rey movie never happens or never sees the light of day. This could very well be the umpteenth time that they announce a Star Wars film and it ends up getting completely axed and cancelled. I know there's been a lot of discussions that this movie has been cancelled. That's not the case. It's just really ultimately going through another draft by Stephen Knight to kind of put in some more final touches to exclude anything Skywalker related, while at the same exact time, still calling Rey Skywalker is still all hypocritical. But overall, guys, I would love to hear what you all have to say about all of this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.